Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, since you're a Phillies fan, you already know what I'm about to say here in the cold open. But I'll tell everybody else so that they can get up to the same speed that you are as a Phillies fan.
Okay, great.
This is a tweet from Corey Seidman, who does Phillies pre- and post-game for NBC Sports Philadelphia.
You know, I actually do know what you're about to say.
If you're wondering why the MLB.com play-by-play data for this game is frozen, this was Friday evening's game. It's because Alec Boehm just broke the dude's computer with a foul ball. I love this so much because it just shows how, no matter how far we've come, it really just does come down to a guy watching a game and logging that data for the rest of the world to find out about what happened. We may think we've moved beyond reading the box scores in the newspaper the next day, but really we're one foul ball away from needing that. Have you ever been in a circumstance where like the thing that you needed to do your job just broke in the course of doing your job and you just had to sit there?
Yeah, it feels great. Anytime the internet goes out during the workday, it's like, I'm free. Oh my God. There's light outside. Well, it's like this, like the like famous XKCD comic, which is like just the entire infrastructure of the internet largely rests on like one underappreciated coder in like Nebraska, just like upholding, like thanklessly upholding the code and like cleaning it every day. That's how this is. This one person on the computer just inputting balls and strikes. That when their computer's gone, what do they do?
I don't know what I thought was happening when I opened the MLB at Bat app. And I know that there's like a person who's pressing those inputs.
See,
because
I kind of thought there wasn't. I thought it was mostly automatic these days.
AI is so over. If they haven't artificially intelligenced this one away.
Well, it's just like they have been talking for years at this point about all the tracking technology that's in ballparks that can like,
yeah,
you know, like you can watch the game if you want in like a 3D rendering form.
Who is that for?
Me when I'm bored.
Does it look good?
I mean, it looks about what you would expect it to look like. It looks fine.
Like
it looks,
The Sims?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like stick figures.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that one out. No, I feel I kind of knew that it was by a person because it's always so specific. It's never just, you know, Michael Conforto out, or Michael Conforto makes second out, next up another guy on the San Francisco Giants. Name another player on the San Francisco Giants. It's always like Michael Conforto lines out sharply to shortstop Francisco Lindor.
I know, but
runners stay or something like that. So in my head, I was like, that's a little bit too advanced for a computer to be getting right every time.
I don't think it is. Have you seen all the like, I mean, if you go into,
put it this way, maybe it's not too specific for a computer to be getting right every time, but it is too specific for the MLB app to be getting right every time.
Yeah, well, I think that where you really need the like human inputs is on like run scoring plays and that sort of thing. Like, you know, like they in play runs is like the whole thing with MLB. And so I do feel like there needs to be some human input there to be like, there's a play that's unfolding. Don't say anything yet. Like, don't start putting out fly ball to left field out. Oh, never mind. Actually, the runner tagged up, right? Like you need to like, suggest that something is happening without telegraphing it quite yet. I don't know, man. The future we were promised has not materialized.
I like
just
this.
Saying.
I think I like this present. You know, we're halfway in the middle. You know, we have an app that tells us everything we need to know about how the game went. We don't need to wait for the newspaper the next day. But there at least still gets to be a person who presses the buttons for that app. Mm-hmm. That feels good.
It does.
And every once in a while, divine intervention. Alec Boehm hits a foul ball, and this guy can't do his job, and the whole process just grinds to a screeching halt.
I think it's good. It's job creation.
MLB is doing its best to keep the unemployment rate low
Mm-hmm.
so that Joe Biden can stay in office. Thank you, MLB. Thank you, Rob.
So how closely does this person work in concert with the official scorer? Like, do they sit next to each other so that the official scorer can be like, yes, that was an error, and then the person can press the error button?
I don't think they need to sit next to each other because the official scorer puts the official score results on the board of the
Right.
game. So anybody could see that. The announcers refer to what the official scorer said over in the course of a broadcast, a home or away announcer. So I don't think they all need to be sitting there next to each other to collaborate.
I like the official scorer also like usually has a little bit of time to figure it out. You know, like once the play's over, you can be like, actually, upon further reflection, the last play was a hit.
Was an error. Yeah. There's been a lot of I've seen a little bit of official score discourse.
Really?
Yes. Have you has this come across to your X the Everything app timeline with people theorizing that Rob Manfred told official scorers to loosen up their definition of what a stolen base is to make it seem like there's more exciting plays happening in baseball, there's more stolen bases, and that the rule changes are working more?
Interesting.
So I saw someone saying that in previous versions of baseball, any ball that was in the dirt, even if the catcher fielded it cleanly and threw it to second, that would be considered not a pass ball, but a dirt ball. It wouldn't be considered a stolen base because
it is quote unquote an error on either the part of the pitcher. or
yes,
the
on the pitcher,
catcher.
like a wild pitch or a pass ball. And you can't consider that a stolen base because then that is being attributed to against the catcher, but it's not really the catcher's fault. But now those are all almost in almost all cases being considered stolen bases if it garners the throw whatsoever. And I thought that was interesting for about 5 minutes, and now I don't really care.
Cared enough to talk about it on the illustrious podcast Tipping Pitches.
Well, I love to share a theory about Rob. And this sounds like the sort of thing that Rob would be like, yes, I would like to see more stolen bases as a result of my rule changes.
We love to just ask questions here on this podcast.
We don't love to find answers.
No.
Finding answers is the hard part.
Exactly. Well, we let the wisdom of the masses do that work.
Okay, we have a fun podcast coming up. We're going to talk about MLB getting a little bit further into the gig economy, which is very fun. We're going to do. It's been 1 year since the Oakland Athletics announced that they intended to move to Las Vegas, prompting one of 4 Tipping Pitches emergency podcasts in history. We're going to do a little bit of a 1 year look back on that moment. And then we're going to answer a handful of listener questions that were left over from last week when we did a big mailbag segment. But before we do that, I am Bobby Wagner.
I'm Alex Baisley.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches. Thank you to this week's new patron. That patron is Soren. Alex, we got a story this week that MLB was launching ghost kitchens. Gotta say, and I can say this literally, didn't have this on my 2024 bingo card.
They're always one step ahead of us.
Speaking of the bingo card, while we're here, I do think we're getting close to being able to cross off the juiced ball controversy square on our bingo card. And in fact, it is de-juiced this year. Almost certainly. A lot of people passing around videos of 2019 baseball saying, what did they do to my beautiful game? Just like end of the bat, pop-up contact to the opposite field home runs. Those were the days. That was cool. That was fun. But we haven't gotten like a wider discourse about it yet. There's been some tweet threads. There's been some theorizing. There's been no Bradford William Davis investigative article. There's been no Meredith Wills research and study conducted or finalized or publicized yet. I don't know if Meredith Wills has been working in the lab herself.
I know she's asking for baseballs again.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's coming.
It is
It's coming. So we know that we're getting ready to check that one off. So at home, I'll maybe uncork your markers.
Right.
Get ready to cross that square off.
Click your Bics. Let's go. There's another story that we may touch on in this episode that I thought might garner us an umpires union statement.
Are you referring to the greatest ejection in MLB history? Actually, sorry. The second greatest ejection in MLB history behind asses in the jackpot. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The Aaron Boone ejection, non-ejection, he didn't actually do anything, but the umpire ejected him anyway.
I was referring to that. Yes. It looked for a minute there like it might spiral into something bigger.
I think it was the kind of thing where they didn't want to pour gasoline on that fire because they knew they were in the wrong.
Well,
the umpires union only stands up for itself when they know that they have something to stand behind.
Well, I agree, but okay, so let's back up a little bit, right?
Okay.
For those who missed this.
In 2017, we started a baseball podcast to talk with each other about topics that we cared about.
Right.
That far back?
On August 5th, 1996, I was born.
You were, but I was already 3 months old.
You were 3 months in.
Yes.
Yep. You'd already been doing some vigorous planning.
I've been putting together a business plan for our podcast.
You're right,
I've been
exactly.
waiting 28 years to put it
my
into
24-step plan of how I need to meet Alex Baisley at NYU. No.
Manifest destiny, that plan.
The Yankees were playing some baseball this past week.
Against A's.
Against A's. I don't even know how to describe this. There was some chirping that was maybe coming on from the dugout.
About the strike zone.
About the strike zone.
Which is Aaron Boone's favorite thing to chirp about.
Right, exactly.
Lasting legacy as the Yankees manager is arguing about balls and strikes.
It's kind of a good legacy.
I mean,
never gonna forget its name.
It's very distracting from the fact that the team hasn't been very good.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
True.
There was some chirping happening, and the umpire turned and said, "Hey, look, you keep that up. You're going to be gone. You're going to be out of here."
Which umpire was this again?
Hunter Wendelstedt.
Yes.
Familiar with his body of work?
I am familiar with his body of work. He, as I look him up and recall some memories of Mets games where he was behind the plate, he's kind of like, he's taken over the red ass belt a little bit.
Right. The void left by Joe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Cowboy Joe, we got to keep his legacy alive.
You do.
Is his podcast still publishing? As the designated listener of...
No, I have not seen any new episodes in my feed. Right. As a designated maybe only listener?
It's a designated listener like the designated survivor. Like if the whole world collapses, like you're the one guy left
right.
to hear what Cowboy Joe is saying.
If there are no listeners to the Cowboy Joe podcast,
without looking,
passed away.
Right. We lost Alex. Without looking, what is that podcast called? What are the numbers? Come on, you're the designated listener.
I want to say 5160.
50. I thought it was like 5460. Just giving him 300 extra games for free.
Wow, look at you.
Is it 5460?
That's right, it is.
That is alarming that I remembered that.
It is.
That came from somewhere deep inside my brain.
Nothing.
These are the kind of facts that I would like to purge out of my brain and be able to operate at a higher function, but I can't. I can't. Baseball is the reason that I can't remember things.
It's been a year and a half.
Since they published?
There was no note. There was nothing mentioned on the last episode, a conversation with one Reggie Jackson.
So funny that was the last episode.
I don't know.
That's disrespectful,
I've got
honestly.
a big Cowboy Joe shaped hole in my life these days.
We should send them a business plan to return to the feed. A little Patreon action.
Maybe fold them into Tipping Pitches Media.
We should acquire them. We should send them an acquisition offer. That's really
a bear hug.
We know where to find him. Just in the Wikipedia comments.
Aaron Boone.
I'm determined to derail this podcast.
I
This
know
is
you
one of those podcasts where there's not like one big main topic that we need to hit.
Right.
So
you just vamp every moment you get.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for.
Wendelstedt, Warren Boone, said, "Look, I don't want to hear any more from you."
Yes.
And
this was in the first inning.
This was in the first inning. And Boone, to his credit, it's like, okay, look, he like, seals his lips and is like, all right, I got it. I won't say anything anymore. You have to watch the video. We'll put the video in the description. It includes audio, very visible, very audible audio.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of a fan.
Visible audio too.
Visible audio too. You can see the wavelengths. A fan then chirps.
A fan notably sitting right behind Aaron
directly
Boone.
behind Aaron Boone.
Yes.
Right. And you can see all of this taking place in the video. You can see Aaron Boone looking out kind of into right field and not saying a word.
Thursday afternoon day game against A's. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of fans in the stands.
Right.
So you can those wavelengths are carrying.
Yes. You can see them, you can hear them. And the umpire thinks that this is Aaron Boone, who has come back again.
I feel like not enough reporting has been done on whether the fact that the fan sounds like Aaron Boone or not.
Right.
Because Aaron Boone has a pretty recognizable voice.
Yeah.
And presumably, Aaron Boone has yelled at every umpire in Major League Baseball at least once or twice. So they know what it sounds like to be yelled at by Aaron Boone. So did Hunter Wendelstedt really think the guy behind him sounded like Aaron Boone? And if they sound nothing like each other, that's alarming. Because as an umpire, you have to be able to see and hear things to call stuff. Because most of the time when it's like a foul tip, you can't see that it's a foul tip. You go off whether you hear that it was a foul tip. You hear multiple sounds of the ball hitting the bat and then the glove. So, not to put Hunter Wendelstedt on full blast right now, but are we sure that he's up to the task?
It's worth mentioning. Look, he doubled down after the game, right? He was asked about this, and he basically said, "I heard a sound that came from the dugout area that was not necessarily by Boone." So he was not necessarily saying, I think Aaron Boone has continued to do this, at least after he'd had the rest of the game to think about what his excuse was, right?
Yeah.
He said there was someone in the dugout area who was barking.
Could have been Stevie. It's
Aaron Boone's job as the manager of the New York Yankees to keep an eye on all
quiet,
of that stuff, to keep everyone in line. Therefore, he had to go.
I could get behind that. Aaron Boone is responsible for everything that the Yankees do.
Yeah.
And the Yankees fans.
Right. That's kind of a tough hang.
If you think about it, this is kind of how we treat Major League Baseball. Anything that happens, we're like, this is Rob's fault.
Pretty much, yeah.
So who are we to throw stones
all I'll
in our
say
glass
is,
house over here?
I thought that after the game, we might get a little...
Mea culpa?
You're right, exactly. A little remorse from Hunter, who basically saying, yeah, you know what?
For what? Giving Aaron Boone the day off?
Right, exactly. No, I thought that maybe, you see umpires.
That one's on me.
Right, exactly. Heat of the moment, things happen. It's loud out there, whatever.
Not when you're raised in the Cowboy Joe school.
Yeah, so true.
Don't get to 54-60 by being soft like that.
And yet when he doubled down and said, look, that's Boone's job, is to control his folks, there was a glimmer of hope that maybe the umpires union would come out and say, we stand with Hunter.
Great name.
I only know good hunters.
Hunter Strickland?
I stand with Hunter Biden.
Like how my mind went to Hunter Strickland. No, I'm coming out anti-Hunter Biden.
Okay. You don't think he parties hard enough?
I just have never really heard him come out and talk about it openly and candidly. And I'm a man who believes in transparency. The laptop. It does raise the question, what are we going to need to have to get a statement from the umpires union?
Well, I think as I mentioned when we put this on the bingo card, they have not tweeted in a few years. So it really needs to be something.
It's going to hit so hard, though.
It is going to hit so hard.
Did you set up tweet notifications for them?
No, I should, though.
Yeah, you probably should. You should do that now. As well as you should complete the purchase of the Robinhood on Robinhood of SlamCorp. Yeah.
Should we start manufacturing scenarios in which the umpires union may be forced to put out a statement?
Yes, we create bot farms tweeting at the MLB umpires union, being like, "Can't believe you guys are getting pushed over by a bunch of woke Yankees fans. Stand up for yourselves.
I'm just saying.
Stand up for your own. Stand up for your kind."
They respond to criticism.
I mean, yeah,
not well, but they respond.
They're probably going to put out a statement about campus protests.
All right. The noties are on. The last tweet is about a panel moderated by Bob Nightingale.
What do we think happened there? They haven't tweeted in a year and a half. Have they tweeted since Cowboy Joe retired?
Well, so what I was thinking was Cowboy Joe running the MLB Umpires Association account.
And now that he retired, they have nobody to run it.
Right.
Sounds like a job opportunity for Alex Paisley. A long storied tradition of me trying to get you to apply for another job other than the one that you do full time. Okay, can we talk about ghost kitchens?
Yeah, let's do it. Major League Baseball announced this past week that in collaboration with Virtual Dining Concepts, you're familiar with them.
Of course.
You actually are. You don't know it. I'm serious. I'll tell you in a second.
Okay. Aramark?
No. Today officially launched Ballpark Bites, presented by MasterCard, a new ballpark-inspired menu available on food delivery apps across the United States. So
we're getting really loose with the term "presented by." MasterCard is not presenting anything here. They just gave them some money.
Some money so that they would be in the name.
Yes. Tipping pitches presented by. Insert your company here.
CarMax.
No, not CarMax. Tipping pitches presented by Chevrolet.
Yeah.
I don't drive a Chevy, by the way. I just like to make that clear. I just believe in Chevrolet. I don't drive one. I believe in them. I drive a Nissan, an import.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, tough.
Essentially, you will be able to order your favorite ballpark food items
This is such a dumb idea.
to your home as if it was normal delivery, right? So this is a part of the growth of that idea of the virtual kitchen, right? Kitchens that don't have actual brick and mortar locations that
Now,
you
to be
can
clear, this
order
is
food
not
delivery
this
from.
is not the virtual ballpark. We're not violating any rules
That is
here.
correct.
But it's like kind of the virtual ballpark because the food is at the ballpark.
Well,
and this is a virtual kitchen.
I do hear that the kitchens are actually within the virtual ballpark itself.
the kitchens are real, even though they're virtual.
Right.
They're real and virtual
Yes.
at the same time. Sort of a the dual characteristics of light problem for food. Are you aware of this? That light moves both as a wave and a photon.
Remarkable connection you just made there.
My mind.
Your mind.
Yep.
These will be available to you on all your favorite food delivery apps, Bobby.
All of them.
On DoorDash,
Okay. Seamless.
Uber Eats, Postmates. I don't know about Seamless actually, but Seamless is DoorDash or no, is Grubhub.
Yeah, they're the same. Seamless and Grubhub are the same.
There we go. And it features a bunch of items that are literally all topped with a soft pretzel roll. It's all sandwiches or not even sandwiches. Your LA street dog, your hot dog, soft pretzel roll.
Why? Why?
Your ballpark chicken sandwich, soft pretzel roll. Your Philly cheesesteak, guess what it's on?
No.
Your steakhouse sandwich?
This seems like an error. That seems like a mistake
Like
that
they
they've
accidentally.
made. they were like, whoops, we forgot to change what kind of bread we
Right, it was
ordered.
like
and
their
we ordered
placeholder.
700 million soft pretzel rolls. And we were like, well, we can't come back from this because this venture is already $50 million in the red by the nature of being venture capital
Yeah.
funded.
Yeah.
And so now we just have to stick with this and make it seem like this is how we wanted it to be. That's what this feels like to me. So how am I familiar with virtual whatever kitchen? We never circled back to that.
You're right. I didn't forget about it though. Virtual dining concepts.
Virtual dining concepts.
Now they offer their services to a variety of brands
Okay.
to allow you to increase your brand's visibility and also nourish the public.
This is just for food though?
This is just for food.
Okay.
Yes. However, are you familiar with the brand Mr. Beast Burger?
They do that?
They are the ones who brought you Mr. Beast Burger. They are the reasons. Now,
Have we told this story on the podcast?
I think we have talked about it.
Okay.
Yes.
But what I haven't told on the podcast yet, because this just happened earlier this week, was that there was a job posting that I saw on LinkedIn because I work in the media world and I have producer in my title, where I could be a producer for Mr. Beast Productions.
That's right, brother.
And I sent it to you and I was like, should I do this? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, but I'm not really interested in doing the whole video aspect. I really am more interested in getting into the burger business, the burger side of the business.
Right.
The burger wing, as we say, at Mr. Beast Studios.
Well, it's a little contentious because Mr. Beast actually sued
them.
Virtual Dining
Right.
Concepts because the quality of the burger, he was like, this is not up to par. This is not what the Beast heads demand.
And because the people who watch Mr. Beast videos are like really quality above quantity.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm like, is this 100% USDA
Grass-fed.
grass-fed beef?
Grass-fed beef. That's what Mr. Beast was
Better
looking
be.
for. I remember eating that food from Beast Burger, whatever the
Mhm.
fuck that was called, and being like, this is really bad. This is bad food.
Well, now we know who to blame. VDC, baby.
I'm envisioning a world where we order from one of these places and we review it as content.
I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I simultaneously don't want to give them money, but also do want to make fun of them.
Right.
So it's sort of a catch-22
Well, so
of the modern world.
I'll send you the menu. We can start looking through what exactly.
Can I buy this like today?
I believe you can.
It's live. This is not like a sports betting thing where it has to come to you state by state. It has to be approved legally through the legislature. I can just get this.
I mean, I don't know if it exists in every location, but it is live right now.
Here in Brooklyn, can I get something from Citi Field? This is scintillating content.
Well, no, see, this is the thing, right? It's like
we live in a VDC desert.
Right, exactly. No, they're not from the specific. They are.
Well, I know they're coming from the
favorites.
Ghost Kitchen. I know. Of course, they're not from the place because the place you don't get everything on a pretzel roll. I've never seen a pretzel roll at Citi Field. I don't understand this whole pretzel roll thing.
Look at that MLB Ballpark Bites on my DoorDash app.
I actually don't let me get hot. I want you to buy it. I kind of want you to do it. How long does it say?
Look at this. All pretzel rolls. All the exact same.
Truly, what the fuck, man? This is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. I give this 3 months. 3 months. This was something that Dodger Stadium was doing during the pandemic because they were like, we want to keep some people in work. You know, we're trying to keep some things open.
You know what I'll say? It's not the worst prices I've seen. It would be cheaper to order this with all the added fees on top that you get from like food delivery than just like getting a normal hot dog at the ballpark.
But you'd have to eat it on a pretzel roll. This could finally solve the father of the bride. Why do hot dogs come in packs of 8 and buns come in packs of 12? Or
Right.
I think it's the other way around, actually. But it could finally solve that because now you'd have to buy 2 bags of buns because anytime you get something delivered on this, you need to replace the bun with the normal bun. That's where your extra buns go to.
Fries are only $4.
You're like going to do it. I know you are for dinner tonight. And I don't want you to do that because I want you to wait.
I know, I really shouldn't.
Because we should do it for next week's recording.
See, interestingly, Ballpark Bites is not the what? I know we like have a segment that we were in theory going to do around this, but also now, like if you go to Red Sox Ballpark Bites, they have their own Ballpark Bites, and they have teamed up with Goya to provide you with recipes for things you can make at home. So if you want the Boston Red Sox recipe for corn and quinoa mini burgers,
which I do.
All right. Well, I can send you the PDF right now.
Don't send me the
20-minute
PDF.
prep time.
Please read it to me right now.
3.75 of a cup of Goya organic red quinoa, rinsed.
Okay. Is it pre-rinsed or do I have to rinse it?
I assume that if they put rinsed in there, you may have to. It depends on, I guess, how you get your quinoa.
But if it's coming from Goya, it should come rinsed if it says rinsed there. Is there a comma before the rinsed? Or is rinsed capitalized like TM?
It is not capitalized, but there also is not a comma.
Well, now I'm just very confused.
Red quinoa rinsed.
Gonna have to get to the bottom of that. Okay, keep going. Is there like a personal essay at the beginning of this, like every other recipe that I find on the internet?
Unfortunately, no.
A 1,000 word long personal essay about why I need to make this mac and cheese.
Being like, so these Chipotle glazed ribs really got me through some hard times.
Tristan Cassis being like, this really centers me.
Yeah.
Much like when I go out barefoot into the outfield before games start. This is what I eat before games.
You can also get Ballpark Bites at IHOP.
Okay. That sounds like a diversified strategy they have here. It also makes it seem like I don't know what the hell it is.
I'm really confused by all of this. However, what I will say is that we can go to joinvdc.com
and apply to become a ghost kitchen?
And apply to have our own ghost kitchen. We could have a Tipping Pitches ghost kitchen.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yep.
We should apply to do that. So next week on the show, we will both order Ballpark Bites to eat live on the air, and we will let people know how our application to become a ghost kitchen for Ballpark Bites is going.
In fact, if you complete this quiz that asks you about, say what kitchen you have available to you right now, what food services are you already offering?
Are they going to be like down with the fact that I just have a small apartment with an electric stove? Are they going to be like, you can churn out the pretzel rolls?
I think so. Well,
are they going to ship me like a 12-foot by 12-foot box of pretzel rolls? Because our package room is not that big.
It's not very big. What I will say is I completed this quiz. And they paired me with some brands. And you know who they paired me with was Major League Baseball Ballpark Bites and Mr. Beast Burger. And NASCAR Refueled tenders and burgers.
Okay. Paired you how? Like they said that this is the ghost kitchen that you should work for? I'm so confused. The quiz is for what? Is it like a job application?
Well, you say
Are you applying to prep this meal for people?
I don't know, to be really honest.
What kind of questions did you answer? Like, do you like chicken tenders or burgers more?
Which brands work for me? Select the existing equipment that can be found in your kitchen. So I said an oven, a freezer, and a flat top stove.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, and refrigeration.
I really thought ghost kitchens had to be like a little bit more of a professional operation than just your fucking apartment.
I don't really know what. Well, I think they do. I don't think they. I think if we told them it was an apartment, they'd be like, "Hang on." But like, it's unclear to me.
So we don't tell them then.
Like, it's like, now select the kind of food your kitchen typically makes. That's the whole point. I don't have a kitchen that makes food. That's why I want a ghost kitchen.
I think that like
I thought you were making the food.
I think the ghost kitchen concept is that you like have a restaurant and you also just want to make some money on the side preparing this stuff as a ghost kitchen.
Got it.
So you are kind of like you're like a ghost writer. Like you write for Spin Magazine and some like Billy Joe Armstrong wants to write a book and you just ghost write it for him.
Got it. So we would be making the ballpark bites ourselves and
Yes.
delivering them to folks.
Yes.
Or
yes.
or partnering with DoorDash.
Yes. That one. Yes. They don't let you deliver it on your own because then there's fewer people that they can exploit in that chain.
That's right.
You could make more money.
So what kind of food does your kitchen typically make?
Well, what I was going to say is we've been talking a lot about should we rent some studio space for tipping pitches? Should we get our own little office? The answer so far, there's no way to justify that expenditure, but I would like to. So maybe we roll this into one big operation, just Tipping Pitches Industries.
Yeah.
So we do ghost kitchen work, we do studio work, we sell our merch, and maybe we could do like a cat cafe or something, you know? Do you remember like 5 years ago when we spent like an hour on the podcast talking about the video game cafe that what's his name? The Giants outfielder with the
Hunter Pence.
Another
Yeah.
Hunter that he had opened and he was like, I just like to play video games. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. Yeah.
We could do one of those.
Uh-huh.
We're like Entertainment 720 from Parks and Recreation, but for baseball. Instead of Roy Hibbert coming and working for us and making $1 million a year, we could just pay Hunter Pence or Xavier Nady
Hunter Biden.
or Hunter Biden. Exactly. We could poach Rob to run our operation. I hear that he's not going to be in this commissioner role forever.
You know, I think he would appreciate a pivot.
Investment from A-Rod? I mean, obviously.
That's easy. That's
Yeah.
unlock. We got him in speed dial.
Exactly. There's something here.
Yeah.
So again, next week on the show. It's so funny that you filled out this quiz already. Of course you did. Next week on the show, we will order ballpark bites and we will let everybody know how good or bad they are.
Mhm.
Okay, sounds good.
And we will let you know how negotiations are going to start
Our own
our
ghost
own ghost
kitchen.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Should I fill out this form telling us about our kitchen?
Yes.
Okay.
You should. I'm still laughing at you saying, what kind of food do we prepare? I thought you were supposed to tell me what to prepare. Why are they all on pretzel rolls?
I don't know.
Like, was it just good value or something? Like they were on sale? Okay, so clearly this is like a VC idea. Clearly they were like, we got some form of investment. We want to do this thing that all these other tech companies are doing. Ghost kitchens are very in vogue right now because DoorDash was like, we have so much consumer demand and not enough restaurants that we just want to create ghost kitchens to deliver food from them for them. By the way, you open DoorDash these days, like 50% of the things on there are just ghost kitchens, probably. Places that you could not just walk into.
100%.
And so we thought maybe this would be a good opportunity to come up with some other VC ideas that we could apply to the baseball world.
Mhm.
All right, what do you got?
Okay.
I could kick us off if you want.
All right. Do it then. Prove
My first idea is a software as a service, of course.
it. Okay.
okay.
Let's say more.
It's championship rings that live on the cloud. So you don't actually ever get it, but you can locate it from all your different devices, like a photo of it.
Right.
So if someone's like, when did you win the World Series? You log in to your MLB Rings with a Z app and you do your little face ID.
Rings.io.
Right. That's great. That's good. I'm going to bleep that out so people don't steal that idea.
Sorry, I'll get the domain right now.
Okay, great. Domain acquisition is like a whole crazy thing. I don't need to be trying to acquire a different domain right now. You log in.
So it's like an NFT.
Yeah, you pull it up. It's a photo of your ring. But you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about losing it, stealing it, damaging it, whatever. You have to worry about it weighing down your finger.
Yeah.
And you show it to someone. Maybe we spruce it up a little bit so the ring like rotates 360 and looks really cool. You can zoom, pinch
Yep.
to zoom,
Yeah.
pinch to zoom. That'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then it lives on all your devices. You could show anyone at any time.
I love this idea.
Sold.
I frankly am a little surprised that it hasn't happened. So this is the thing is like, as I was trying to brainstorm, what are the VC like ventures that Major League Baseball would be interested in getting involved in? Or,
Yeah, they've
or
already done
Major
most
League
of
Baseball,
them.
like adjacent properties.
Yes.
And like, it's hard. Do you want to buy stock in players?
You can.
You can do that. Would you like to pay with your face? They're working on it.
Monfort already got that rolling.
Do you need your sport to be powered by AI? I have good news for you.
StatCast by Google Cloud
That's
featuring
right.
AI.
So it's like a little hard, but I appreciate this. Almost feels like a layup for them.
I got two more, and they're better.
Okay,
Do you have any, or do you want me to keep going?
I can give one.
Okay.
MLB has partnered with Robinhood to present the Major League Baseball ETF,
Naturally.
a fund that you can buy into, made up of the respective companies of Major League Baseball owners.
Are you serious?
What do you mean? Am I serious?
Wait, I thought you were saying
Wait,
this was
no,
something that
what?
already existed.
No, this is my idea.
This is a good idea.
Alternately, you buy into the ETF, which is a portfolio of stocks chosen by our good friend Ross Stripling.
Okay. I like that. Can I acquire Brave stock? Can I acquire Slam Corp stock through all of this?
Like, is that rolled into the fund?
Yeah.
I say no.
Okay.
I think they're separate
I agree.
because you're buying into the owner's vision, right? Like
The collective vision.
regardless of baseball is almost secondary to this, like pretzel rolls.
What is
this
an
is-
ETF? What do those letters stand for?
Electronic trade
Fund?
exchange traded fund.
Close enough.
Close enough.
It probably happens
It is
electronically.
electronic.
So you're basically doing an ETF.
Right. All right, so you're in.
I'm
Gonna
in.
buy in.
That's essentially like buying NASDAQ. You know?
Yes.
Like, there's so many of them in so many different industries, and they're all so profitable that you just basically that's just like
right.
return on
Exactly. The
investment.
stock's always going to go up. you
Stock
know?
go up.
That's right. It does.
Okay, my next one is we do the gig economy, but for relievers. So relievers don't work for any one team. They're just like, they're out there waiting to be called on. So they're out there in a different jersey, a third jersey, and you can request a reliever whenever you need it, but you don't know who you're going to get. It's algorithmic based on who is most readily available
Right.
for you in that moment. Who's rested, who's not as tired, who's better, who has a higher rating.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we use WAR, whatever they agreed on in the CBA.
Mhm.
And so instead of relievers being paid so little by teams, they make even less to work for no one.
That's really good.
Thank you. I worked on that one really hard.
Maybe they come to you in the little like Nats like bullpen cart, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And they have to ask you to rate them well when they exit, when you take them out of the game. You're like, please, please, Aaron Boone, rate me well so that I will be requested again tomorrow by who's the A's manager? Mark, what's his name?
Mark Kotze.
Mark Kotze.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm such a fan of this.
Thank you. I got one more,
Okay.
but you go.
Major League Baseball is partnering with Lyra Health to offer discounted mental health services to fans whose teams are under 500. Mets just lost 5 straight. Looks like you have some free consults available to you, Bobby.
Is Lyra Health the one that does BetterHelp?
I don't know.
I gotta say, if you are a like one-stop shop app for therapy, to me personally, that's a red flag.
hmm
Doesn't seem good.
Yeah.
Especially if you exist only online
Yeah.
and you're venture capital funded.
Yep.
Seems bad.
Mhm.
Just saying. Not going to name any one company in particular. Doing a lot of like insert company name here so I don't get myself in trouble in the
Yeah.
last few pods.
In fact, our lawyer actually made us change the name of this
Podcast.
episode so we wouldn't get sued.
Does that give me enough of a legal reason to play that song in this episode, do you think?
I
Without
think
getting
I
sued?
think it does.
I think so too. Love that. Love that idea.
maybe it's like a 15-minute session, and you can like
You can choose to do group or individual too.
group or
If you want to be
individual.
around other fans.
Yeah, you can unlock. You can pay more to unlock more sessions.
Right. You get gifted a few free sessions at the beginning to get you hooked.
Yeah.
In a couple years, they have a huge data scandal. All the information about all of the worst losses that you ever experienced as a fan is just out there.
It's just out there in the world.
Okay.
It's all right. It kind of already is.
My third and final idea for some VC, for the VCification of Major League Baseball. It's called We Play. It's like We Work, but it's for MLB teams who've threatened their local government and no longer have a stadium to play in. Just some vacant stadiums around the country
Right?
that they can rotate through, ready to be played in. They don't have a contract with any one city or one stadium. They're just like, I'll buy a day pass to play at this community college. Okay, A's versus Astros in Minnesota. Great.
This is like too likely to happen, I think.
Well, a lot of mine are likely to happen. It's almost like this is how I view the game. Through dumb hypotheticals like this. They're like a traveling roadshow.
Right.
The Harlem Globetrotters.
Now,
We could techify it too. You know, we could be like, and there's yoga rooms in the stadiums, and it's a place to network.
Yeah.
It's a place to do business. It's not just a place to play baseball. There's rooms in there where they have kombucha on tap,
and flat screen TVs.
pretzel roll hot dogs, flat screen TVs, marble floors,
That's right.
deep cuts only.
Extended to basketball. You know,
There's something here.
I think so too.
We could allow other sports to purchase subscriptions to this model as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have a steady income stream. It's like how with WeWork or like with gyms, you can get the membership that gets you access to just one location or every location. You pay a little more. You're like a super member. You have the right to bounce any community college baseball team anytime you want to play your home game all across this great nation.
Now, what if we open up all the stadiums almost as like an Airbnb-esque situation? You know,
Okay.
so like you start setting prices. The Red Sox want to play in Fenway Park. You're gonna have to bid on it
Yeah.
against the Yankees.
Do you find yourself bidding against people on Airbnb?
Yes, I do.
These grounds crew fees are getting insane. I can't. It's like after every game, they charge us $50,000 to just spray some water on the field. I like that. Airbnb, but for baseball stadiums. Someone out there listening right now is like, ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
light bulb.
I mean, I guess it like does kind of already happen. They do just rent out their stadiums when baseball's not being played there.
Yes, they do. So like Pitbull or whatever.
Right.
I wish I would have got Pitbull more involved in my
And like
VC ideas.
motocross events.
Have you watched Motocross yet?
No, I haven't.
You're really letting
Week
me down.
3. Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Should I keep naming more Disney Channel
You
original?
should. It's the bit that keeps on giving.
Do you have any others, or was that all of yours?
Honestly, the rest of mine are mostly like AI related. You
Okay.
know, like AI powered betting.
Okay.
Maybe like it like looks at your text messages and your emails and like past games you've attended, and
Yeah.
they're like, look, maybe
Your
it's
bank
even like
account.
your bank account. Maybe
It's like Mint, but instead of putting into a savings account, it bets it on sports for you.
right, exactly. We've found three.
That's a good fucking
we've
idea.
found 3
There's
bets
some vulture out
that
there.
we've
That's a great
automatically
idea.
placed for you.
Yes.
Text Y to confirm. Text a number to bet that amount. We think you'd love this Jose Buto over 4.5 strikeouts.
You should love that because Jose Buto's good. Buto Boys Unite.
That's right.
Try to make this Buto Boys thing happen. I've said it on multiple episodes of this podcast.
Really,
And
I think it hasn't registered for me.
exactly, because I just slide it in there. It's all
Yeah.
subliminal.
Yeah.
You're like sleeping and I'm leaning over
Like
you.
Buto boys.
Leaning over you while you're asleep, whispering Buto Boys in your ear. I've asked your co-host for life to play an audio file very lowly next to your ear while you sleep.
Right, you've replaced my sound machine. It's not actually white noise. It's just Buto boys.
Buto. He's good. Unfortunately, he did take the loss last night.
He did
Against the
But
Cardinals.
That's because Michaelis Masterclass.
Except the guy's like an 80 ERA this year.
I know.
Okay. This was fun. I look forward to our future as a ghost kitchen.
I do too. It looks lucrative.
It's got to be more lucrative than what we're doing now.
Right. We were joking before we started this podcast. Should we go into food?
Was that a joke to you?
Damn it. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm going to need to take a couple minutes to recover from that one. Just kidding. We're going to talk about the A's moving to Las Vegas, except they're not really moving to Las Vegas.
Right.
1 year ago today, the Oakland Athletics announced, or it was reported in the Las Vegas newspapers, that the A's were intending to move to Vegas. Dave Kaval shockingly caught a little flat-footed by this news leaking. Would have never seen that coming. And I believe that this was on April 21st last year. We did an emergency reaction podcast where we discussed this news. We discussed the culmination of these rumors that had been mounting for the better part of a year at that point. I wanted to reflect back on that a year later to talk about your expectations in that moment about how things would go versus the reality of today, but also to hear from you how much your relationship to this story and this process has changed. I think even then, we spent a lot of time talking about how amateur hour the whole process felt. But with a year of hindsight, it feels even worse because they still don't have a stadium in Las Vegas. And it doesn't really seem like they're going to get one at this point anytime soon. So I went back and listened to that episode. But before, I'll share a couple observations or a couple salient points that we made and how we relate to them now. But before we do that, I wanted to hear from you. It was Bummertown to listen to you. On that
I'm
episode.
sure.
There was one moment on it where you were like, it sank in for me earlier today. I'll never see the Oakland A's win a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Wow.
damn.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to remember it at some point.
Right.
How are you feeling about this 1 year removed from A's?
From A's. I think I still have not really processed a lot of my emotions fully. I think it obviously has slowly sunk in, especially in the last month or so, that this is maybe their last year in Oakland. But I think it really is
still adding the maybe.
Maybe.
Just never know.
Door's always open. I think it won't really hit until they're playing in a different uniform, and I literally cannot watch the Oakland A's anymore. If I had to guess, I think I probably won't be a fan of another team like I have been of the A's. At least until
the Phillies randomly make the World Series again, and you tell
and
everyone
then I'm
you're
back
a fan
in.
of them.
That's right, son. No, it feels like the kind of thing where it's okay, I've been cultivating this fandom for this team over the course of my 27 years on this earth. So now I got to put in another 27 years. I'm not necessarily saying that I think that I won't be able to root for a team the same way again, but it's that fandom is cultivated through a long process of sharing it with your family and your friends and figuring out the unique characteristics of the team that draws you to them. And I find it really hard to just click into that automatically, to just be oh, okay, I'll just throw my emotion behind a different team.
Yes. I feel like so much of the discourse on this show and online about fandom has evolved, and how fandom can be many things. You can be a fan of players, you can follow them around to where they go, you can be a fan of vibes, you can be a bandwagoner, you can be all these different things. I do feel like that doesn't quite capture our version of fandom fully, which is like fandom as identity, fandom as like a core piece of identity, and fandom as feeling locked in like part of a community of shared experience. Because jumping in to be a fan of another team, to me, and this is not to say that I don't think of this about everybody who does this, but this is what I think when I try to root for a different team, maybe in a playoff series, or try to root for a different team in a different sport that I maybe didn't follow as closely when I was younger, but now I'm kind of trying to like get into. It feels somewhat like a performance for a while, and you really have to like put in the time and commit to it until it stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling again like the same second nature as it would be for you to be a fan of A's, or for me of the Mets. There is no even with the Rangers, the New York Rangers, the hockey team, who I am a fan of and have been a fan of my whole life, but don't really follow the way that I follow the Mets or the way that I used to follow the Giants in football. I feel performative about tapping into them from time to time and watching them. And maybe that is like a personal failure of mine. Maybe that is like a self-consciousness about what fandom means. And if you can't name everybody on the team and you don't know about everything about where they came from, then you're not truly tapped in the way that you should be. You're not locked in the way that you have been at other points with different sports. But like, that is real still. That is a real thing that as fans who are as fervent as we are about our respective teams, it could feel less than, or it can just feel like a different experience, a different orientation to the game. And baseball in particular is a tough one because there's so many games that so much of the way most fans orient is they just watch their team every day. And then you get to see all of the other teams in the league based on them playing your team. And you have to be a real sort of, well, first of all, you have to have not have kids to be able to like watch a bunch of other teams at the same time as watching your team. You have to have a lot of free time on your hand or just not sleep at all. You have to be kind of like a real true blue, like dyed in the wool baseball fan to watch that many teams all at once. And if you just like, for you, just losing your team as that gravitational force at the center of that, it just doesn't hit the same to like fire up a good game and try to choose a side.
Right. It doesn't feel easily transferable because it's like most of the time it's like, why do you care so much about this team? Why do you watch them? Why do you feel emotion for them? It's like, because I always have.
Exactly.
Because I don't know, because I don't know anything different, right? So it's like trying to tap into that without the historical baggage that you're bringing to it yourself. And honestly, like having a family, having kids, I think is a great way to sort of recreate that relationship to a team. Or, going to Mets games with your friends, or like Staten Island, like creating those memories.
R.I.P. Staten Island Yankees.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, just another team that left me. As we know, everyone leaves. But yeah, it's like one of those things you can't just like flip a switch and say, "Okay, I'm all in." Some people can, and I kind of respect that. More power to them.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
It feels like what's the payoff for me?
Even when I have flirted with being a quote unquote soft fan of other teams, I would say that the only time that that's ever happened was for A's, for you, watching, because it's nice to sometimes be able to watch prior to interleague play being so dominant. It was nice to be able to have a reason to watch every other AL teams like they were playing the A's.
Yeah. Plus,
it's on different coasts. The games start at different times. But the only other time was when I was living in LA, and I was just, because I was going to Dodgers games. And it's like, it's way more fun to go to Dodgers games when they win. Might as well root for them to win.
Yeah.
Greatest place on earth.
That's right.
Dodger Stadium. You take your Chevy, fire it up, drive through Echo Park, roll into Chavez Ravine, and you're like, this is what it means to be an American. So even still, it's like, I don't know how you pick a random team. And I don't know why you picked the Phillies, because you could have just picked the Mets. Okay, a couple observations from that podcast. I thought it was funny you said that you were a free agent and it felt a little good about your fandom because this was before we had done the whole like Alex sells his wares to a different team. You also said you had always thought that the move was just going to be leverage over Oakland the whole time. And now a year later, it doesn't really feel like that was wrong still. It just was leverage over Oakland and they lost the leverage. And so now they're not even going to Las Vegas.
Right. Well, it was like they were trying to get leverage over Oakland to get them to give a better deal.
Yes.
And then Oakland didn't do it. And so the leverage didn't pan out.
One of the funny contextual things that I had forgotten about listening back to it was that this announcement came one day after BuzzFeed News had also shut down and Jonah Peretti got like $20 million. And you mentioned that on the episode.
Wow.
BuzzFeed Jonah conversation.
Uh-huh.
And then the final thing, which is maybe worthy of reflection in retrospect now, was that I kind of lost my mind that this wasn't the biggest story in baseball media that day.
Yeah.
And that there was not, Jeff Passan didn't tweet about it for like 2 weeks.
Right.
But he did a hit on SportsCenter about Ohtani potentially getting traded 4 months from then.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening? But I know that obviously everybody now at this point has covered the story. Even all of the mainstream baseball people, they might not have all have written investigative stories about it or a column decrying John Fisher's behavior, but pretty much everybody in baseball media has acknowledged that this is happening and acknowledged that it's like kind of bad.
Yeah.
For the most part. I find it curious that no one has taken up the mantle of really exposing much of what's gone on. We haven't really gotten great journalism about why the A's are leaving Oakland. We've gotten good writing. We've gotten decent beat coverage. We've gotten the perspective of fans. We've gotten the perspective of the Oakland community. We've gotten the chronicling of the city council. We've got like that minute by minute coverage of sort of what has resulted from this. We have gotten, but we haven't gotten, no one has dug up dirt on what really happened here. Who really wanted this? What were the motivations? What is the financial boon? Who is benefiting from this? Who made this happen? Who are the power brokers in the room? Nobody has done that. And I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to do. And I'm not saying that there's even an obvious person who's dropping the ball in this case because media has been completely decimated. But now thinking a year back on that conversation that we had, I was frustrated that people weren't calling it out in real time. But now I'm frustrated that nobody has dug up, frankly, like the embarrassing financial motivations of someone like John Fisher for why he's doing this. Now, yes, does it seem obvious that it's just a cash grab or whatever? Sure, but I gotta be honest, I don't really trust that this is all above board. I don't really trust what they've told us. I don't trust what they've said about their attempts to stay in Oakland, these conversations that they've had, the efforts that they've made as an organization. It's like they're just lying, right? And no one has exposed those lies yet. I'm a little disappointed by that a year in retrospect.
Yeah, this has been such an embarrassment for the league that I do think we're due for a long read on how this whole thing came to be and why it came to be this way. Especially because you get these quotes, right? These anonymous quotes from executives who are like, yeah, we don't like what they're doing here. We don't think it's on the up and up. It's making us all look bad.
Yes.
And I'm like, sure, okay.
Someone write the real story about that. You know?
Exactly. Talk about what's going on in these rooms. I mean, we've had some interesting pieces come out from like The Athletic and SF Gate that have sort of shed a little bit of light on like what the motivations are. And the story's not done being written, man. They've still got a move to happen.
Like Natasha Bedingfield.
That's right.
The rest is still unwritten.
Quite literally.
Okay, shall we move on to do some listener questions and then wrap it up here?
Let's do it.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Alex. It's Brian. So listening to your last episode, hearing you guys talk about the minor league teams being bought up made me think, is there any possibility that maybe there's some sort of like employee-owned trust that could be set up by a really virtuous person, if that exists? Yeah, as just like a foil to that. Is that possible? Probably not. Like a Bob's Red Mill, but baseball. Yeah.
A really virtuous person, if that exists.
Right, if that exists. Probably not, but
A Bob's Red Mill, but baseball. That's a good pitch. How come that didn't make it into our VC ideas?
it's because that's too pro labor.
Well, obviously. Okay. Thank you for calling, Brian. Good to hear from you.
It's tough because like employees like could not. Oh, right. Like you couldn't. I mean, I don't know can like a major league player own a minor league team? Probably not.
I would say no. Yeah, I would say no, just because you could get sent down to the minors,
Right.
and then
you're
you're
sent down to your own team.
Under the current structure, I don't think that it's possible, just because players are part of the bargaining unit against the management group, and so then if you became an owner, you would be out of your own bargaining unit, but you want to be a player. So when we talk about like employee owned in that way for the players, no. But for a minor league team, I mean, you could have like the people who run the operations over the minor league team or the concessions or whatever, or more of like a Green Bay Packers situation where like the fans own parts of the team. You could probably have that. I don't know how successful it would be, primarily because like on a single team basis, these minor league teams don't make a ton of money. And so how much could they afford to, and presumably like they wouldn't be getting the help of Major League Baseball if they did something like this, you know? How much could they really afford to continue to pay all of those employees and also keep up operations for the team is an open question. But like someone could definitely set it up. I don't think there's anything legally preventing them from doing that for the employees of the team itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be I don't think it would cost more money, right? I mean, in theory, you're just redistributing whatever money is currently going to the ownership group back to the employees themselves, right? So
yes,
it seems easy. We could do that. Alternatively, you do have one virtuous person who comes in, buys the team,
yes,
and then just like Venmos the profit shares to the players.
Goes away. They come in, they buy the team, and they're just like, you guys do what you need to do.
Exactly.
That's about the best you can
just
hope.
let me know when you need money.
Should we be trying to nationalize the minor leagues? Should that be our goal? Instead of worrying about trying to let the city of San Diego allow Joan Kroc to give away the Padres and force her to sell it to somebody else, should we just be going straight to the source? Should we go toe-to-toe with Diamond Baseball Holdings by sweeping the nation with an act of employee-owned minor league teams?
Well, we better fucking hurry up.
Yeah,
they're almost all gone.
In the last week, Diamond Baseball Holdings already bought another team since we had that conversation last week.
Yeah.
If someone is listening and they work for a minor league team and they'd like to talk to us about how to win the fight and get that team employee owned, 785-422-5881.
Yeah.
tippingpitchespod@gmail.com.
Or if your baseball team was recently bought by Diamond
Baseball Holdings.
God,
Yes.
Diamond Sports Group. Diamond Baseball Holdings.
Yes. And do you want to just talk about it?
You want to pass our way the internal communications that they're sending out.
That would be helpful. That would be informative, I think. Okay, we have 2 more questions. This comes from AM. My question is about the MLB's voluntary recognition of the MILBPA in 2022. Most sources claim they were forced to do so out of shame for working conditions and overwhelming signups from players. But the recent unrest in the MLBPA, which included rumors the largely minor league Marinoites were pushing for a salary floor/cap, has me wondering if they thought the unionization would divide players in a way that helps them in negotiations. First of all, I don't know that the Marinoites were pushing for a salary cap. I didn't hear that rumor.
I didn't either.
I think that maybe some people were speculating that they wanted to change to the structure of baseball that might distribute the money more evenly. And in order to do that, you might have to have a salary cap because that would involve a max contract for individual players, which would bring up the floor for the other players. Now, if you're taking that logical leap, then maybe, but I don't know that anybody who is quote unquote pro labor would come into baseball and be like, salary cap.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't know that. I did not see that or hear that. Aside from that, though, the core of this question still remains intact, Alex, which is, do you think that MLB allowed the minor leagues to unionize because it would divide the MLBPA into two distinct groups that would have different interests?
I think that's maybe giving Major League Baseball a little too much credit.
It's a little four-dimensional chess.
It's a little four-dimensional chess that I don't trust them to do. And also, like, that's a really big bet to, like, let an entire portion of your industry unionize in the hopes that, like, it will divide.
They don't get along.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, that would be a bad bet. And also, they were doing fine before the union. You know,
Right,
like, they didn't really
exactly.
need it. They're doing fine.
Some would say the minor leagues were just composed of folks pitting themselves against each other for most of its existence.
Yes. And also, so are the major leagues, right?
Exactly.
Like, they don't have to worry about that necessarily. I don't think that a business would ever allow a union to happen in the hopes that it will split their workforce more.
Yeah.
I am a believer in the fact that they just had no choice because the organization, it was overwhelming what they were able to, the percentage of people that they were able to get to sign cards and sign up. They just knew that they were going to lose that vote. So
Yeah.
they chose to save face and speed up the process. Now, did they speed up the process? Did they allow for the process to be sped up and voluntarily recognize the minor league union because they just wanted to get it out of the way and avoid any more solidarity being built and rush the CBA into place so that they could avoid having any more existential conversations than they absolutely needed to about what that CBA might look like? I think maybe. That to me felt more like what happened, where MLB was like, fine, you guys really want to do this. We get it. Things are bad. We understand that they're bad. And now the public knows about them because of X the Everything app.
Mm-hmm.
And because of these pesky little advocates for minor leaguers. And if we have to do this, well, we might as well do it on our own terms.
Right.
We might as well rush this through and negotiate the CBA as fast as possible.
Right. Rather than opening up a protracted negotiation that just makes us look far worse.
In which we piss off even more people and continue to tell you that you guys are not worth anything
Exactly.
and continue to motivate you guys. I think maybe MLB thought that from that side. I also think, for the record, from the union side, they were like, we should get this into place as fast as possible because it'll help people faster. And we know that people are not going to want to drag this out for 2-3 years in the hopes of getting a contract that is 15% better. We'll just work on building solidarity for the next contract at that point.
Yeah.
I think both things are true.
Also, like, the risk you run with, like, opening up the option for your employees to unionize, the idea of hopefully they turn against each other, you run the risk of, like, the more militant side winning and things turning out way worse than you anticipated.
Well, I think that the more militant side was trying
Exactly.
a couple months ago. Unfortunately, I don't think they won.
No.
Should we become sleeper cells for the MLBPA? Like, should we start inseminating ideas into the into the union about how that we need to just take owners down?
Like you do with me with Buto Boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
We MK Ultra some ideas into the MLBPA.
No, I think it'd probably be easier. I think we could just send them like a box of Beats by Dre, but inside is just like a copy of the Communist Manifesto.
Right. Some cowboy boots, maybe.
Some cowboy boots.
Which, by the way, we fucking broke that news on this podcast. And then like a month later, people were like, oh my God, Trevor May went on another podcast and talks about how John Fisher gave him cowboy boots for their end of year gift. Yeah, he told us that a months earlier. People sleeping on tipping pitches.
Weren't even listening.
Literally. I think we should end every episode of the show by calling for a wildcat strike.
I agree.
Okay, one final question. This comes from Anton. Hypothetical, you're watching an average normal MLB game, let's say a day game between the Guardians and Braves. When you realize I would never be watching that game. When you realize the broadcaster forgot to read their normal disclaimer, any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Now that you can disseminate this one game as hard as you want, what do you do? Is that how the law works? Like they have to say
If
that, and
they-
if they don't say
if they
that,
don't
I'm
say it,
allowed to
it's
do
free
whatever.
reign.
I don't think that's how copyright really works. I also never really understood that disclaimer. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Yeah.
So
We can't talk about it.
that's
Be
not
clear.
that's just not true. It's just not true. I never understood what that meant. But anyway, what do you do if you're allowed to disseminate without express written consent?
Really, there isn't much I don't think you can do.
Could you rebroadcast the game?
Right. I mean, that's sort of like you could put it on YouTube and monetize it,
Commentary track?
upload it to
LimeWire? Burn it onto a CD?
podcast platforms, release it as a podcast.
That wouldn't be entertaining at all. Here's what I would do. I would use the audio and as like a drop in a mixtape, a rap song, because they didn't say that I couldn't.
You're right.
I'm disseminating it without their express written consent
I'd
in mixed media format,
probably
like the Beastie Boys.
probably make it into like some art installation, like projected on the side of
The Empire State
Guggenheim.
Building. Now, it would be really entertaining if it was an important game that like had hurt you in the past.
Right.
Then it could be a wonderful art installation. It's just like man stands next to game that ruined his life. It's just you watching the 2014 AL wildcard game on repeat, putting up a brave face. It's like when Shia LaBeouf watched all
Exactly, I
of
know,
his
yeah.
movies in a row, and he like cried, he laughed, he did all those things. That'd be you watching the 2014 AL wildcard game
Yes,
on repeat.
I think I'd rather not be compared to him given the opportunity, but all right, let's do it then.
Okay, I don't think we can.
See, like,
But that's what
we?
art is. It's avant-garde.
Right.
You know, we don't have to get their permission.
Like if we opened up a laptop and just started playing the current Cardinals Mets game and like put it on the street corner, would Rob come down from his offices and be like, "Sorry, you can't play that"?
I mean, I think if we sold tickets and it like made noise, yeah.
Okay, but if we didn't sell it, let's say it just was like open.
I mean,
Just come swing by.
it makes me ask an interesting question. But like a bar plays a game in real time.
Yeah.
They don't have express written consent from fucking Rob Manfred to do that and sell $13 G&Ts.
Do you know that?
I guess not, but I feel pretty certain that most bars that I've been in did not request express written consent to play that game.
Right. I mean, I guess like it is being disseminated on the channel that Major League Baseball has delineated as the channel on which it can be distributed.
But you're distributing it to people who don't have access to that channel, though. It's like password sharing. Clearly, we don't know the law.
Right.
Like, very clearly, we don't know the law.
I'd love them to crack down on it even more. Like they're
They
cracking down
say-
on password sharing.
They send like goons into bars and they just clear them out
Exactly.
during October.
Excuse me, can you show me your receipt for your cable provider? I need to make sure you're paying to watch this.
I like that idea. Talk about death of the third space.
For real. Sports bar.
We could create. Your idea is creating a third space,
Right.
Where we just project baseball games onto the sides of buildings and sit there
Well,
with
that's-
folding chairs.
That's what we're doing with our cafe recording studio that functions as a ghost kitchen.
Cat Cafe.
Cat cafe.
Ghost Kitchen Cat Cafe live broadcast projector. Unfortunately, we can't broadcast Yankees or Mets games because they're blacked out.
Blacked out, yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to violate the sanctity of the blackout. Just keep adding stuff onto the docket, but just keep making that business more interesting.
One of these is going to hit one day. One day, some intrepid young investor is going to be like, these guys are onto something. They don't
Yeah.
know it yet.
Intrepid old investor Alex Rodriguez is going to hear that. Is he 50 yet? Probably not, right?
Probably not. Oh, that's a great question.
I'm a little disappointed that you don't know his age.
Next year.
What are we going to do for his 50th? We have to do a huge blowout pod. What day of the year is it?
It's July 27.
That's very close to our anniversary. That'd be our 8th anniversary. Tipping Pitch's 8th anniversary.
We'll have to brainstorm it a little bit. I know we did just recently make an appearance on another podcast to discuss the man, the myth, the legend himself.
The court. We were on the court.
We were on the court. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, the deal. Right? Isn't that his one that he has with Bloomberg?
Oh yeah. I don't think that's a podcast though. I think it's like a video series.
See, you called. I said young investor. You said old investor. You know what Alex Rodriguez says? It doesn't matter.
A 50-year-old is 2x more likely to succeed than someone that's 30. Here's the bottom line is,
Naturally.
age is not your barrier. Your mindset is. Okay? Right?
Thunderous
And
applause.
It's never too late. And it's never too late. I'll give you a few examples.
Few examples.
Okay?
He loves to give
Michael
lists.
Bloomberg got fired at 39. He started Bloomberg business shortly after. 15 years later, he was a billionaire. Today he's 82 and worth $106 billion. He started at the age of 40. Okay? You look at Henry Ford. He was a T model. Ford affordable car. Henry Ford at age 45.
What else was he doing before that?
Warren Buffett, who's 93 years old, Vic. 93 years old. Worth $130 billion. $130 billion. He made 99% of his net worth after his 50th birthday. Okay? And this is my favorite one, the last one.
Best for last?
Fried chicken. Yeah, that was it, right? Colonel Sanders opened his first Kentucky Fried Chicken at the age of 65
Whoa.
and failed. And then he collected his Social Security money and then started franchising. And the rest is history. So here's my message.
So Alex Rodriguez supports the welfare state.
Never give up, and it's never too late.
Get up, get going, never give up. It's never too
This is-
late. That's
he
why
needs-
we're waiting until
Dude.
his 50th birthday to ask for investment from him.
Like Taylor Swift, he needs an editor. Like, here's my message to you. 4-clause sentence. That's not a message. That's the stream of consciousness thought. Get up, get moving, something. It's never. I can't even remember
I know. And we just listened to
This
it.
is my whole fucking job. Is to remember stuff that A-Rod says. I can't even. Here's my message to you. I can't remember it.
Get up, get going, never give up.
Never
it's
give up.
never too late.
Well, see, that's what that was my problem. I forgot never give up.
Right. You
Says
gave up
something
halfway
about my
through.
self-esteem. Yeah. To borrow a line from Christopher Moltisanti, I don't see it that way, A-Rod.
The problem's your mindset, Bobby.
The problem is my grind set, and it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Which is why I want to end this podcast. Thanks to everybody for listening. We'll be back in a week. Later this week, we'll have a Patreon episode for you. So if you want more, you want 3 up, 3 down, that segment is on Patreon this season. Patreon.com/tippingpitches. 3 different tiers. The top tier gets you access to those bonus episodes. And you can access those episodes on Spotify, or you can access those episodes on your podcast of choice. You just get a manual link to an RSS feed. You pop it in there. More episodes of Tipping Pitches available for your listening. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful opportunity for everybody involved. I'd say an asset, not a liability. You want to call into the voicemail. The number is 785-422-5881. As promised, I'd like to call for the MLBPA to go on a Wildcat strike. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
I guess I talk to strangers because I texted you again. If that's an emergency, I need you as my friend.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping Pitches.
Tipping Pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping Pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!